Hello and welcome back, OptiU CEO members. I can't wait to talk this week more about stress and how important it is that we try to avoid chronic stress in our lives. Remember, last week's action step was box breathing at least 2 minutes twice a day. Simple, easy, quick. Going out for an easy walk, going to do yoga, meditate, pray. All these things can prepare our bodies to alleviate that chronic stress that often we are in. So, let's today talk about more things that we can do to try to get more relaxed and more chill, I guess is the way a lot of people may say it. So we're going to talk today about a food additive that we can avoid. We're going to talk about some studies done on a couple of supplements that were really informative and that we see really work for stress and anxiety. And we're going to talk about how to use these supplements and why they're so important for this. So, here we go. Let's talk about glutamate, monosodium glutamate, MSG. It's a food additive that has a very excitatory effect in our brain. So it can turn our brain on and cause stress and anxiety. Now, MSG or monosodium glutamate can be under different names on a label. It can be autolyzed yeast, it can be protein isolate. There's different names. It can be natural flavors, okay? And I know there's nothing natural about it, but that's the way they are allowed to label it. So that's why it's so important for us to try to eat real foods. Foods that are not processed, foods that are not in a box, a bag, or a can, foods that won't spoil are not the things that we should be eating. Now, the very first action step that you got back at the beginning of the year was eat real foods. So this comes back now as we're 5 or 6 months into this, and it says, hey, we need to eat real foods for other reasons than what we discussed back in January. This is an additive that is found in if you look at things that are processed in the grocery store, you're going to find one of these names, one of these hidden names, I'll call it, or MSG listed itself as monosodium glutamate or MSG. This can turn on these excitatory neurons in the brain. It can make us stressed. It can make us anxious, and it's found most often in sauces, soups, processed meats, salad dressings, especially anything like that. But it's often found in a lot of processed foods. But it's most often found soy sauces, any kind of Asian sauces. So now we have really high quality alternatives for those things. So if you have questions, join us on our monthly live where I'll do a little talk on something, and then we'll take all your questions and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. So make sure you're joining us for our live sessions, but try to make sure that you're eating real foods and we're avoiding the foods that are processed, especially those that contain this MSG. That can help alleviate the stress, along with avoiding, I know this is going to sound contradictory, but a lot of people think that alcohol is an anti-stress and they use it as an anti-stress. But what alcohol actually does in the long run is make us more stressed, and it can interfere with the sleep, which makes stress even worse. I know people use it to go to sleep, but go back and watch the sleep videos. Alcohol is the number one thing to interfere with sleep, so we want to try to avoid trying to use alcohol or using alcohol as an anti-stress and anti-anxiety as a sleep med. So that's one simple step we can do. Now we're going to talk about a couple of supplements that are used and studied, and I've used them for 30 years now for myself and for a lot of other people, not only for stress and anxiety, but they have a lot of other positive functions in the body. But the journal Nutrient published in May of 17 about one of these supplements, and the journal Nutrient published about another one in October of 19. So these are two really important supplements when it comes to anxiety and stress and depression and all these things that kind of come along with being stressed out chronically. So the first study we want to talk about that was published in Nutrient is L-theanine. L-theanine is a supplement that most of you may not be as familiar with. Many of you won't be. as you will with the second one we're going to talk about, which is magnesium. But L-theanine is an amino acid that is found in green tea. And L-theanine has really calming effects, anti-anxiety effects, and it has an amazing ability to help us focus. So L-theanine turns on what is called alpha brainwaves, and alpha brainwaves help us be focused on the task at hand. So one of the big things that we use L-theanine for is ADD and ADHD, whether it's kids or adults, because it helps turn the focus on, and it helps alleviate that, you know, I got to be over here, I got to be over there, I got to do this next, but it helps us concentrate on the task at hand. Now, I personally take 2 of my Prescriptions Plus L-theanine capsules 4 times a day. The study, and that's the way that I typically recommend it for people, and I've also formulated a drop that we can use for children, and a lot of the adults like the dropper too, because it works so much faster than the capsules. And they have it beside their bed because L-theanine can really help you sleep. So if you wake up with your mind racing, even though you may have taken your L-theanine dose before sleep, you can do a quick dropper full or 2 when you wake up, and it really helps relieve that mind racing and people go back to sleep. Now, one of the big things that we use L-theanine for outside of anxiety and stress and depression is that, and the ADD, ADHD, but it does help us sleep better at night because it turns off that mind chatter, it turns off that mind racing, it turns off thinking about what I have, all the tasks that maybe we have to do the next day, or the problems that we've had that day, or the argument that we've had. So it really helps calm that, and obviously when we sleep better, that's going to be a big part of relieving chronic stress. So L-theanine has no side effects. It's safe at high doses in children. It's safe at high doses in adults. I've successfully helped many people get off of the meds for ADHD like Adderall or Ritalin and those type drugs. And one of the reasons that's so important is those drugs have a myriad of side effects, obviously, because they're amphetamines and they speed the heart rate, they can raise blood pressure, they're very addictive, they make us more likely to be addicted to other substances later in life. But those drugs can often interrupt sleep, and so if we can use something natural like L-theanine to help wean off or get completely off of those drugs, well, that's obviously a really big win for everybody in feeling, looking, and thinking their best long term. So we can use it for a myriad of things, but I know we're really talking about stress, but all these other things outside that we talk about that L-theanine can do can help alleviate long-term chronic stress, like getting off those type of drugs, like sleeping better, like being able to concentrate better, so I'm not always worried about that. So it really helps me, like coming out this morning making this video, in being able to concentrate on this video and not all the things that are going on around me out here with the dogs, the birds. So really a safe, great supplement. And so the study in Nutrient showed that L-theanine helped relieve stress, helped relieve anxiety, and it showed that it helped promote sleep. So people, they had a group that was on L-theanine, they had a group that was not on L-theanine, they were just on a placebo, right? Just a sugar pill, we'll call it, that had no effect. The people that were on the L-theanine not only had better concentration, had less stress, had less anxiety, had less depression, but they had less time, what they call latent time, from going to bed and going to sleep. So they went to sleep faster and they slept longer. So, I mean, there's, L-theanine, outside of the cost of buying it, there's really no downside to using L-theanine. Something that I've been using for probably 30 years now or close to it. And it's one of the things that I learned about in my fellowship in metabolic and nutritional medicine that I've seen just tremendous results from kids to adults. So really good supplement to think about to help alleviate this chronic stress and just the inability to focus. Lots of good things. Sleep. So the other study that was done in the journal Nutrient was on magnesium. Now, you all know, if you've heard me in any of my weekend classes, you've attended my weekend classes, or you've just heard me talk about this in other places, my favorite supplement of my Foundational 4, of all my supplements, but even of the Foundational 4, if I had to narrow it down to one that I was going to take with me, if I could only choose one and I was going to be stranded on Gilligan's Island, it would be my 5 organic chelated salt magnesium. Magnesium in this study was shown not only to reduce anxiety, stress, depression, help people sleep better, it was shown to reduce postpartum depression. It was shown to reduce the depression and the anxiety and the stress that can come with women during their cycle, their PMS symptoms, in other words. And so magnesium has over 350 positive functions in the body. Obviously, we use it a ton for sleep. We use it a ton for headaches. We use it a ton for, restless legs, muscle cramps, irregular heartbeats. I mean, we use it for a lot of things, but magnesium has an amazing ability to reduce stress. And that's what this study that was published is showing, that it helps reduce stress, it helps reduce anxiety. And again, if we can do that, we can avoid a lot of the things that come along in our lives in the medical system that can be very damaging to us. We've already talked about some of those things, like those drugs for ADD and ADHD, like the Adderalls and the Ritalins, can be very damaging to our body, especially long term, and they actually create stress because they're an amphetamine, so they're speeding things up, which can be stressful, right? But then a lot of people will end up with the stress, the anxiety, and the depression, and they get put on other drugs, like an antidepressant, right, which has a lot of side effects. They can get put on drugs for the anxiety because of the stress, which is the most common thing we see. And you've all heard of these drugs like Valium, Klonopin, the newest one is Xanax, Alprazolam. And these drugs can be very addictive, and they can have lots of side effects like interfering with sleep. They reduce melatonin production, which then causes more stress and anxiety, which then causes the need for other drugs, right, or antidepressants. So we get into this system, and we get the standard of care. And I think the standard of care is failing us all. So the magnesium, it was shown in this study to help reduce depression, to help reduce stress, to help reduce anxiety, to help people sleep better. So it sounds very familiar to the L-theanine, right? So when we can do the combination of this, along with good food, other good nutritional supplements, right? Good water, good exercise. We'll include breathing in the exercise today because we're talking about stress, and good sleep. I mean, the 5 pillars of the OptiU program, right? So if we can use these substances, hopefully these natural substances, these nutrients, these vitamins and minerals, hopefully we can avoid the need for the antidepressants, the anti-anxieties, the Adderalls, the Ritalins to help us concentrate. And one of the other supplements that is part of the Foundational 4 that is so important for stress and anxiety and overall health is the OptiU multivitamin. The OptiU multivitamin contains B vitamins, methylated B vitamins, so active B vitamins. Most supplements on the market don't contain activated B vitamins, and our bodies have to work to convert those over. But the methylated B vitamins in the multivitamin have shown to alleviate stress, especially the B6 and different things that are in there. But they can be very good to help our bodies manage the chronic stress that we're all under. And so we put all these together. We put we put the magnesium, which are 2 of the 4 foundational supplements that I've created. And then we put the L-theanine with it. And we can do other things, like if the stress and the anxiety are just, overwhelming, and you've just had a really bad event happen or whatever, a death in the family, whatever that is, we can use a product called Calm Support that I created. But Calm Support is more you would think of as your specific replacement for like a Xanax or a Valium, that type of thing. And we try, some people do use it long term, especially for sleep, because it can help you sleep. But we don't usually, that's not our first go-to, but just so you know, if the others don't seem to alleviate it, it is very good if you're nervous before a flight. We use it a lot for that. If you have a big event that's coming up and you can't sleep, like say, we use it for that. But some people do use it on a more regular basis. But the difference with Calm Support and magnesium and L-theanine is magnesium and L-theanine are great at helping you sleep. They are really great at that. But it's not a droggy sleep. You can take them during the day, and I do. I take both during the day, L-theanine and magnesium, and then I take my biggest dose of magnesium at night. but Calm Support can cause some drowsiness. So we want people to be cautious about obviously working or driving and using Calm Support during the day. So there's a lot of options, is where I'm going. A lot of ways to relieve stress. Go get your box breathing 2 minutes every day. Go out for a walk. Go do some yoga. Meditate. Pray. You know, certainly pray before your meals, because stress has so many negative effects on our bodies. We've talked about a lot of those already in the previous videos. If you missed them, go back and watch. And just try to think of how easy and how effective the magnesiums, the L-theanines, the multis, from the OptiU program are so effective at this. But the thing that I think we often, and I do this, forget about, is we're talking about stress and anxiety and depression and sleep a little bit right now, but those supplements have just a multitude of benefits outside of that. So they are going to help us achieve our goal, and I hope your goal is the same as mine, to live an optimal life where we all look, feel, and think our best every single day. Look, I want every one of you to feel 18 every day. And if you don't feel 18 every day, please schedule a consultation with me. As a CEO member, you get a discount on that. Schedule my blood panel. As a CEO member, you get a discount on that. And as always, let us know if you need something. Please contact us. You can info@OptiURx. You can call 855-OptiU. You can, so there are ways. We're here to help. We want to help. We want you to spread this, so tell your family and friends to come join the CEO membership. And please join us on our live video so you can ask your questions. We do a live video every month, and we'll take all your questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. So please participate, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.